within holographic breathing, the movement of the tongue and the movement of the roof of the mouth creates the cranial motion that travels through the whole body in holographic breathing. There's a motion of the body, of the cranium, of the face, of the brain, that moves in a very similar way to how it's palpated in cranial sacral therapy. And in a lot of ways, it's activated by the tongue and the roof of the mouth, and in a lot of ways, the tongue and the roof of the mouth is just part of that overall motion, and it's activated in the baby when the baby's breastfeeding. And holographic breathing is like a very subtle form of holographic breathing. So the more I spoke or wrote about, or we're going to also work with the cranial people, more people were interested in that than just working with the tongue. So we're going to go into how the tongue and the roof of the mouth integrates with the cranial motion. We're going to get this cranial motion through the face, through the brain, how all the bones are moving, and how that's moving through the spine, and how that's moving through the pelvis. And this is quite a physical thing, and it includes some things that are really difficult. But I thought, might as well do it anyway. That's coming, what's coming up to do, we will just do it. Now, most of that is going to be kept until the second meditation. In the first meditation, I'm going to teach you holographic breathing. We're going to do a guided meditation to bring in the holographic breathing. Then we're going to work in that meditation with the tongue and the roof of the mouth. I'm going to describe that first before I describe the holographic breathing. Let's show a picture. When holographic breathing came through, I opened this big book, which has now lost its cover, but I've kept it all the same, because my whole face started breathing and my whole cranium started breathing. And when I looked at this picture, it just opened on this page and it shows the inside of the face. I thought, oh, the whole face is just breathing like a body. Now, if you look at that section through the face, can you see? Now, I can't hold the bit and point to the different bits because it's all opening. So the roof of the mouth is a bit like the diaphragm, those big maxillary sinuses either side, they're like the lungs, the nasal passageways in the middle, that's like the heart. So the tongue becomes the muscles of the diaphragm, and the digestive tract and the jaw becomes the pelvis. And then coming up between the eyes, this is the ethmoid, this more relates into the brain, the third eye, the central brain complex, and the eyes relate to the different hemispheres of the brain. So we're going to start interacting with that today and getting that breathing. And what there is in holographic breathing, I'll describe the holographic breathing and then I will describe the roof of what's happening with the roof of the mouth. And you can start this, if you're new, you can definitely start this straight away. Not the movement, but just getting the tongue in the right place and the lips are closed. So the lips are relaxed and closed in holographic breathing. The upper surface of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. The tip of the tongue is close to or touching the front teeth. And so if you're new to this, you can just get used to that and spend the rest of this kind of explanation just allowing yourself to breathe through the nose, have your lips closed and connected, and the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And what we'll be going into later in the first meditation, along with that, On the in-breath, the jaw is gently opening, and on the out-breath, the jaw is gently closing. But the lips stay closed while that's happening, and the tongue stays on the roof mouth. And it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, and suddenly it clicks into a memory through the whole body. It aligns with the breath, and it just starts going on its own, and this wave-like motion starts moving through the body. And there's a gentle motion of the tongue, and there's a gentle motion of the roof mouth. It moves like the diaphragm. That's the roof of the mouth. If you imagine that's the roof of the mouth, it's also the diaphragm under the lungs. It does this. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And that is part of this whole breathing motion that just starts in holographic breathing, that's activated through the cranium, through the spine and the whole body. But also you can activate it, as with suckling, through the tongue and the roof of the mouth. Now, you need enough of the tongue on the roof of the mouth that it will create a seal there, like the baby suckling. If it's only the tip of the tongue, there's no seal, there's no way the tongue can, as it drops, the roof of the mouth will automatically drop with it, and as it rises, the roof of the mouth will rise with it. And for the new people, that may take a while. Over a period of time in holographic breathing, the tongue becomes more and more relaxed and larger, and just naturally spreads over the whole of the roof of the mouth and makes a lovely, easy, soft seal there. And they just move together. So I will be teaching the holographic breathing in this first part, and then towards the end of that, as people are used to that, we'll just start noticing this movement of the roof of the mouth with the breath. And once you start feeling this up-down motion, that connects through all of the bones of the face, through all of the bones of the cranium, through all of the bones of the body. And it starts bringing out this motion through everything. But it's quite physical. I don't normally do physical things, or it's not like the very subtle energies we work with. You mustn't force it. It's not like I'm going to pull my tongue down and push it up and pull it down and push it up. There's this motion there that's intrinsic. And there's no effort involved in it at all. What is happening is the diaphragm is pulling down on the in-breath. And on top of the diaphragm, you've got the lungs, you've got the heart, you've got the esophagus, you've got the trachea. And as the diaphragm drops, that all pulls down right through the trachea, the esophagus, joins to the hyoid bone here, joins to the jaw, joins to the tongue. So as the diaphragm drops, there's this direct connection through the organs into the tongue. The tongue is sealed to the roof of the mouth, so this gently pulls the roof of the mouth down on the in-breath. The roof of the mouth gently rises on the out-breath. So you're not doing it with your muscles, just the effect of breathing with the diaphragm is doing it on its own. So there's no force involved, and there's, even though it's a large movement of the diaphragm, by the time it's gone through all of these different stages to reach the tongue, it has become very subtle by that stage. And it drops on the in-breath, but it also opens. It domes up on the out-breath, and it narrows. So the roof of the mouth is flattening and doming, flattening and doming. And this works through all of the diaphragms, through the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, the tentorium, the diaphragm through the brain. It starts, you just naturally start breathing with all of the diaphragms through the whole body. It brings a depth to the breath. And I think this is, what we are connecting to in holographic breathing is how we breathed in the womb. And it connects to a much slower breath, slower, softer, deeper, longer breath. So there's no force involved in that. So holographic breathing, the lips are relaxed and closed, the tongue is relaxed and on the roof of the mouth, the breath is through the nose. On the in-breath, the jaw is gently opening. On the out-breath, the jaw is gently closed. With all of these still together, with the lips still together, with the tongue on the roof of the mouth. A small motion, half a finger width, 2 or 3, maybe 4 millimeters, a quarter of an inch. It's not big. And we'll be going through it in a particular way that naturally brings it in, and there's a point where it just integrates with your normal breathing. It's no longer a technique, it just happens on its own like a memory. Now I'm going to demonstrate it so that you probably won't see much, but you'll see that it is a subtle motion. People who watch energies may be able to see me getting calmer or something like that. But you may see a subtle motion, but what you will see is that my lips aren't opening and closing with the jaw, because that is the main thing that people find hard to comprehend when they first start doing it. How do you move the jaw and keep these lips closed? So I'll just demonstrate it for a few breaths. And once I start, I don't really want to stop. It just takes you to a deeply meditative or shamanistic or altered state of consciousness or higher state of consciousness. It's a really beautiful feeling. Once you understand it and be with it, it has very lovely feel-good effect to it. So what I want everyone to do is just to have your lips closed, especially the new people, and just, it's a bit like chewing, opening and closing your jaw, just bouncing it up and down, small motion, just to get the experience that is possible to move the jaw and keep the lips closed, just so you can have that experience. We do it every day when we're eating. We move the jaw, we keep the lips closed. Okay, you can let that come to an end. Okay, let's start. Let's start. Good. All right, this is going to take, I'll tell you what. No, it's okay, we're going to start. So everybody closing your eyes. For new people, sitting up. If you're new to this, if you lie down and do this the first time, good chance you'll just pass out and miss it and not learn how to do it. So this is the first time you've done this. Just through this first meditation, it's good to be seated and upright. Holographic breathing will knock you out. My voice will knock you out. The channels that come through will knock you out. Everything's fighting to knock you out, and you miss the instructions. You need to get into it deep enough that you have the instructions correct for it to start and it starts going. The second meditation, you can do it lying down or however you want, but if you're new and you genuinely want to learn this, sit up. If you're okay to miss it and not learn it, fine, lie down. All right, here we go. Closing your eyes. People who know holographic breathing, gently dropping into the holographic breathing. For people who don't know holographic breathing, just breathing in a relaxed way. It's not a connective breath. We're not doing rebirthing. It's just a normal breath. It's not a deep breath or a quick breath. Just a relaxed, soft, normal breath. And sending a smile to the earth, sending some energy to the earth and allowing the earth to say hello back. Allowing yourself to integrate with the earth, to receive from the earth, to give back to the earth. Notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And sending a smile, sending some energy to the higher self and the beneficial energies. The beneficial energies are any channels, higher beings, higher energies you like to work with or wish to work with you. But beneficial is the word. They're good for you or aligned with you. So letting the higher self come in, letting the beneficial energies come in, allow yourself to receive those energies and asking the earth, the higher self and the beneficial energies to be with you through the whole webinar as your guide and your resource. So you have your own resource, your own energies, your own connections. Okay, the lips are closed, the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, the upper surface of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, and as much as feels comfortable, maybe half an inch, maybe a whole inch, maybe the whole tongue is covering the whole roof of the mouth. But it has to be comfortable, has to be easy and relaxed. So the upper surface of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, the tip of the tongue close to or touching the front teeth. And just gently start moving the jaw up and down, small amount, and keeping the lips closed, keeping the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Gentle up-down motions of the jaw. Relax the back of the neck, relax the back of the head. Now we're going to start slowing that down, letting that become a much slower movement of the jaw with the lips closed. And as the jaw opens, allowing the breath to come in through the nose. And as the jaw closes, allowing the breath to come out through the nose. Notice it starts to feel a bit like a bellows. The jaw is gently opening. It draws the breath in. The lungs are opening. The jaw is gently closing. The breath is exhaled through the nose. The lips stay closed all of the time, and the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth all of the time. If it feels difficult, make the movement smaller, softer, slower. Jaw is relaxing down just a small amount. All the muscles balance and the breath comes in through the nose. Jaw relaxes, closed. The breath naturally comes out through the nose. Notice there's a very pump-like action. If the tongue stays relaxed and on the roof of the mouth and the lips stay closed, as the jaw relaxes opening, it only has to be a tiny amount. The breath starts coming in through the nose. As the jaw relaxes closed, the breath starts leaving through the nose. Relax the back of the neck. Relax the back of the head. Now we're going to change the gestalt. So being aware through this phase, moving from the attention in the jaw to bringing the attention to the nose and the breath coming in through the nose. And as the breath comes in through the nose, the jaw gently opens. As the breath comes out through the nose, the jaw gently closes. It's like the breath is moving the jaw. Breathing in, the jaw relaxes open. Small amount, just a little amount, just opens. Everything balances, the breath is coming in. Breathing out, the teeth gently float together. There's no pressure. They just gently touch, or they can be slightly separate. Breathing in, the jaw relaxes open. Breathing out, the jaw relaxes closed. If the teeth are touching, there's no pressure between the teeth. And we're going to move. Notice after a while that just starts feeling natural, as if you've always known this breathing. I'm going to move the awareness more to the torso. As the chest is opening, the jaw naturally opens with it. As the chest closes, the jaw naturally closes with it. As the diaphragm drops, the jaw is opening. The diaphragm rises, the jaw is closing. The abdomen opens, the jaw is opening. As the abdomen closes, the jaw is closing. So you can get a really nice deep breath with no effort, right down into your pelvis, breathing in, pelvis opening out to the sides, breathing out, the pelvis closing. You can feel it through your arms, through your legs. The arms and legs start to breathe. Notice in a very subtle way all the bones of the face and cranium, or the face and cranium, start to breathe in their own way. The brain starts to breathe. The neck and throat start to breathe. The areas of you that didn't used to breathe start to breathe. A subtle motion of the breath moves through the whole cranium and face and brain, neck and throat, and through the whole body. A bit like every cell opens on the in-breath. Every cell closes on the out-breath. Notice how natural it feels. You're not having to breathe faster or slower or stronger or lighter. Just a natural breath starts to happen, and this breathing motion starts moving through the whole body. And you may feel subtle energies moving through you. You may start feeling deeply relaxed. You may start connecting and aligning with the energies of the earth. And you may start aligning with the higher self and divine realms and the universe. Notice you start breathing with the whole universe. And notice how natural it feels. Once it starts, it just becomes your natural breath. Relaxing the back of the neck, relaxing the back of the head. Start to become aware of your tongue. The tongue breathing, opening on the in-breath, closing on the out-breath. And notice the energies changing. When you're aware of your jaw, you're aware of the bones. When you become aware of the tongue, you become aware of the brain and the organs. Notice as the tongue starts to breathe, you start feeling your brain, the brain cells. You start feeling the throat, the lungs, the heart, the organs and digestive tract, the abdomen, the sexual organs, the anus. The tongue connects to the viscera and organs and brain. And notice when you start breathing with the tongue, the energies change. You don't have to breathe with it, you just become aware of it. It may start feeling softer and bigger, like you're sucking a large gobstopper, large sweet. You start noticing how large the tongue is. And as you start breathing with it, becoming aware of it, more of it may start naturally rising onto the roof mouth, not forcing it, especially if you're new and you're just starting. You don't want to force this in any way. Notice how the tongue can connect to the outside, whether the upper jaw, to the middle of the roof of the mouth. Notice there's an expansion sideways to the tongue as you breathe in. Tongue is opening to the sides, the roof of the mouth is opening to the sides. Breathing out, the tongue is contracting inwardly, the roof of the mouth is contracting inwardly. You can feel this through the jaw, through the whole face. It's all opening out sideways as you breathe in, all closing immediately as you breathe out, and with the sides of the face, the sides of the cranium, the ribs, the lungs, the arms, the legs, everything opening to the sides as you breathe in, closing as you breathe out. The tongue and the roof of the mouth opening up sideways as you breathe in. Tongue and the roof of the mouth closing as you breathe out. There's another action of the tongue. The diaphragm drops, the tongue drops with it, the roof of the mouth drops with it. So as you breathe in, there's this natural, the dome of the roof of the mouth is flattening and opening. Tongue and the roof of the mouth. Breathing out. Tongue and the roof of the mouth are doming up with the diaphragm. Not forcing it, it will just happen. It is part of an overall motion. It's a small part of the breath through every bone, through every cell of your body. Now, if you're new, this may take a little bit of time to get used to. So if you're new, you could just get used to the holographic breathing is more than enough. Breathing in. Roof of the mouth opening and dropping. Breathing out. The roof of the mouth rising and doming. And as this carries on, notice you may start feeling all of the sutures, the joints between the bones in the face start kind of creaking and moving and opening and closing. Breathing in, it drops and opens. Breathing out, it rises and closes. Allow that to spread through the sides of your cranium, all the different bones in your cranium, the spine. Everything will start to a very subtle motion. The cranial bones, the facial bones will start to breathe. Now you're not pulling or pushing the tongue, just as your diaphragm moves, the tongue moves with it. Notice as the roof of the mouth opens and flattens on the in-breath, domes and narrows on the out-breath, everything else moves with it. maxillary sinuses above it opening out to the sides as you breathe in, closing as you breathe out. Notice how the whole maxilla, the middle of the face and upper face, starts to breathe with the roof of the mouth. That's subtle, soft. You're not doing this, you're not forcing this. It's as if the bones are made of energy. Being aware of the back of your neck, letting all of the vertebrae in your neck start to adjust and through your spine. Your abdomen expands, the roof of the mouth and tongue drop. The abdomen closes, the roof of the mouth domes, narrows. You have a diaphragm through the middle of your brain. It's doing the same thing. It's called the tentorium. If you come to the back of your diaphragm under the lungs, the back of the diaphragm drops, this membrane horizontally through your brain. It does the same thing. It drops and opens. On the out-breath, it rises and domes. You have the roof of the mouth dropping and opening, rising and doming. You have the tentorium in the brain dropping and opening, rising and closing. You have the diaphragm on the in-breath dropping and opening, rising and doming. They're all moving together, and the tongue is completely integrated into the movement. And the breath has to slow down. Slow the breath down. The movement is slow. And what you can do, breathing in, it's all opening. Breathing out. Start waiting a little bit at the end of the out-breath, and you'll feel it. All the bones start to release. In that pause, the end of the out-breath, you'll start feeling all of those bones starting to adjust, and you'll feel the kundalini releasing from your pelvis up through the body and up through the face and cranium. And each time you wait in the out-breath, that dome gets a bit higher, gets a bit deeper. Drop deeper into the movement of the out-breath. You get this release. You don't have to do it every time, you just occasionally wait for a bit in the out-breath, and you feel all the bones start to release, your spine starts to adjust. Everything starts releasing and adjusting. You don't want to wait too long at this stage, because you want to still have the rhythm going. Now we're going to start going the other way. Wait a little bit at the end of the in-breath. You start, all of the bones start moving towards that phase of the breath. The whole body is opening and the whole body is shortening. Waiting a little bit at the end of the in-breath, and you start moving in to that phase of the breath. Everything is shortening and widening on the in-breath, and when you wait a little bit, everything shortens and widens a bit more. Feel a release through the bones, through the spine, through the whole body. Notice as you wait, you get a pulse through your brain, through the bones. As the brain releases, all the bones release. And then becoming more aware of the out-breath, rising and doming, or narrowing and doming on the out-breath, and wait a little bit. And each time you wait, you drop deeper into that movement of the breath, and you may still feel the whole body starting to lengthen and narrow. In the out-breath, the body lengthens top to bottom and narrows. You may start feeling your whole spine lengthening. You may feel your cranium lengthening top to bottom. As you wait a little bit at the ends of the out-breath. It doesn't have to be every time, but it will just take you deeper and deeper into that phase. Notice how your roof of the mouth may have just completely turned into energy by now. And then just breathing normally, just opening and closing the breath. No pauses. Just feeling, dropping away from the tongue and the roof mouth, and just feeling your whole body softly breathing. I'm going to come back in about a minute. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing. And when you feel ready, gently allowing yourself to come back. Okay. So, I don't know if you felt it, but as the roof of the mouth and the diaphragm did this, drops, the whole body shortens and the whole body widens. I'm going to have to give these different names. I noticed in the meditation that I didn't have a name, and what I'm going to call this the in-breath contraction, because the whole, like the womb, when you're having contractions, the womb is contracting top to bottom, but at the same time it's expanding to the side, because the baby stays the same size, and it's the same with our whole body. On the in-breath, all of the muscles of the breath, because it's a whole breath through the whole body, are tightening to activate the breath. The whole body shortens, the spine shortens, everything shortens and expands. So there's contraction on the in-breath. Then on the out-breath, the roof of the mouth is rising and narrowing the whole body lengthens, or extension, we can call it extension. So you've got contraction is the in-breath. Even though it's hard, isn't it? Because you think of the in-breath as expansion rather than contraction. I don't know, I'll think of something. But anyway, on the in-breath, everything shortens and widens. On the out-breath, everything lengthens and narrows. And so roof of the mouth and diaphragm, breathing in, the whole body is shortening and widening. Breathing out, the whole body is lengthening and narrowing. Now, we experience the lungs. With our normal breath, we experience the lungs, and the lungs don't do that. The lungs expand in all directions because there's a shed load of air coming into them, so they can do that. But nowhere else in the body other than the lungs, and maybe the nasal passageways and these sinuses here, nowhere else can do that. Everywhere else in the body, for it to expand in one direction, it's going to shorten in the other. So what happens in the cranium and brain, breathing in, shortens top to bottom and expands. Breathing out, lengthens and narrows. So you get this, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Now this is a whole breath because we're taking into account all aspects of it. Unless I'm going to put more air in this balloon, it cannot expand in all directions. The only way it can expand sideways, shortens top to bottom. The only way it can narrow, lengthens top. The abdomen, diaphragm on the top, the pelvic diaphragm underneath, breathing in. We experience, oh, it's just expanding. It's rubbish, it isn't just expanding. What's happening is the muscles are shortening, the muscles top to bottom are shortening, and there's this power pulling it top to bottom, and it expands. We just feel the expansion, but what's causing that expansion is a contraction. And through every cell, every part of the body can't expand in all directions, shortens in one direction, expands in another. Even though the in-breath we experience everything is expanding, all of the muscles that I know of causing that expansion are shortening. So on the in-breath, there's a tension through all of the muscles that expedite this in-breath. Then all of the muscles on the out-breath are relaxing, expediting, making up these new words, expediting the out-breath. And I would never use that in normal. See, my channel is more intelligent than I am. It keeps using words that I don't know about. Right. So anyway, expediting. I don't even know if that is the right word, but making the out breath. And the reason I'm telling you that is because we are going to include the pelvic floor in this next one. And now this is hard. You know, I thought, you know, in my quest that has recently come to me that, oh, I'm going to let this go out to everybody. I thought, I've got to make it easy. But then as you get closer and closer to the group, kind of how I'm doing it, changing it. And then this morning, there's a whole different dynamic came in to be taught. And I thought, oh, damn. Because it's an area that people find hard. They find it hard, the spine shortening on the in-breath and lengthening on the out-breath. They find it hard, the pelvic floor. Maybe it's not rising, but it's tensing to, and it's taught everywhere in the world differently to how I'm telling you. But as far as I'm concerned, it's right. All the muscles of the diaphragm are connecting through the back directly into the pelvic floor, and there's this general tensing top to bottom that causes that expansion. Breathing out contracts. Now, what happens when you connect to the pelvic floor? You get a top to bottom shortening and a widening, a top to bottom lengthening and a narrowing, and you get an anchor. Suddenly you've got an anchor for the diaphragm to pull towards you. Suddenly you've got an anchor for the roof of the mouth to pull towards. Suddenly you've got an anchor, the tentorium. So if you feel at the back, there's a notch at the back, and it rises up kind of across the top of the ears. Now, it's not called the tentorium, but you can think of it as one membrane going right around above the eyes, above the ears, and the back of the head, and this dividing the up and down of the brain, and the brain stem or the central brain complex is rising through the middle of it. And this is doing the same thing as the roof of the mouth and diaphragm, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, the tentorium in the brain, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. If you come into the back of the diaphragm, back of the pelvic floor, they connect to the front of the pelvic floor, the front of the diaphragm more connect to the roof of the mouth. Back of the pelvic floor, back of the diaphragm connect more to the tentorium. You get this breathing motion in the brain. So I know everybody else teaches it differently, but you just have to remember one thing. I'm right. They've all got it wrong. At least here, I'm right. To demonstrate this next bit, you can try it the other way, but I promise you, you'll completely lose all of the energy and you'll lose the motion. If you have the pelvic diaphragm and the pelvic floor breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, blows the energy out through the pelvic floor, it loses all its consistency, the energy goes. If they pull together, breathing in, you get this kundalini rising up through the body. It releases the kundalini as the pelvic floor at least holds. At least the muscles of the pelvic floor are holding to the diaphragm, pulling down to it, and then relaxing as the diaphragm pulls away, and then you feel the whole energy, and it will completely change your breath. Once you engage the pelvic floor with the breath, suddenly you have to breathe in a different way, and you have to really slow it down and take on a whole different dynamics. So we're going to do that. We're going to include the pelvic floor, which is going to make it really difficult for everyone. I'm quite annoyed that I have to teach this because there's all these new people and they're going, oh God, this is too difficult for me. We're going to go and do something easy. But I have to teach what comes through. If I don't teach what comes through to be taught, it falls apart anyway. So what comes through in the morning of me teaching, that's kind of it. That's what gets taught, whether I want to or not. So we're doing this. But don't run away. Think of it as a mountain, and you're just doing that first bit and you go at your own speed. But, as I said before, there's something here that if you persist, if you apply yourself, you may not get it the first time, but once you start getting it, this whole beautiful flower, this whole thing starts evolving. So we're going to work with that. See, we are just, with our normal breath, we're used to everything just expanding because we're experiencing the lungs. So you have to take on a whole new reality and experience to do it this way. But this is exactly how Sutherland, well I think it is, how Sutherland, who brought through cranial sacral therapy, I think, from what I understand, I think he got it from Native Americans or something. I think he was working with some Native Americans or something, and it transpired out of that. But his explanation of the general motion in cranial sacral therapy, now it's a long time ago since I learned, and I've gone my own way, so I may be getting wrong, but on the in-breath, cranial motion, everything is shortening top to bottom and you're getting wider. On the out-breath, everything lengthening and you're getting narrowing. So by being able to experience this deeper, longer, quite hard to feel when you first try it, breath that is out of your normal range of experience with your normal breathing. By being able to experience that, you can truly give yourself a cranial sacral therapy session. You save yourself 60 or 70 quid every day. Let me show the spine, 1 minute. That's probably why the cranial people just come for a while and leave, because they realise if everyone does this, they're going to be out of business. See, the spine, we think, oh, it's lengthening on the in-breath. No, breathing in, breathing out. These are my makeshift vertebrae, and these are discs, and these are kind of broken, cut off ribs. And that's the pelvis at the bottom, and that's the top of the head, and there's not enough vertebrae, but it shortens on the in-breath. Let me put, so you can see the top. Breathing in, breathing out. I'll put the skull on it. There we go. Put the skull on the top. Stay in one piece. There we go. There we go. Hang on. There we go. All right. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. All of the muscles through the back, all the muscles in the back of the ribs, the trapezius muscle, they're all tightening on the in-breath, the quadratus muscles, and that conspires the whole, may not shorten much, but tension through the whole spine on the in-breath, then a relaxing of all of the muscles of the spine on the out-breath. The reason we don't go into that, what I've realized when I teach the birth webinars, people can have a trauma of the spine shortening and lengthening from birth, where you get the whole power of the contraction. Basically, the head's on the top, the pelvis is at the bottom of the uterus, what's joining them is the spine. So on the in-breath, on the contraction, the spine is being squeezed together. Between the contractions, the spine is lengthening. And to start feeling that again, starts resolving whatever happened in your birth. And it can truly heal your spine. I don't know what's up with me tonight. Something is. All right. The pelvic floor, here's the pelvis. The pelvis. And it's not just kind of this bit under here. It rises up, comes right up around this inside rim. And so you've got the sacrum here, it's between here. It's around the inside of the sacrum. It's around the inside of the sit bones here. So it's like a big bowl in this area. And this movement of the pelvic floor, for me, aligns with cranial sacral therapy, because in cranial sacral therapy, on the in-breath, the sacrum is doing this, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And because the whole pelvic floor is around through there, obviously the pelvic floor is doing the same thing. It's pulling up slightly on the in-breath, very subtly, and then relaxing down on the out-breath. So breathing in. And you can feel you get a nice connection from the sacrum pulling under. You can feel that connecting to the roof of the mouth, connecting to the tentorium, and they're pulling down to it. On the out-breath, it's relaxing back, and these are rising up. And we're going to go through, we're going to start off with the roof mouth, but we're going to rise through it, through the septum. We're going to connect to the yellow energy circuit, which is the ethmoid between the eyes here, the septum in the middle, the nose, the palatine bones at the very back of the nasal passageways. They make this circle. I'm not going to show all the anatomy. We're just going to do it generally. But we get the roof of the mouth doing this. Then above that, you've got the septum. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Above that, you've got the ethmoid. The ethmoid connects to the third eye, so you get it breathing in, breathing out, and it pulls on the ethmoid. Which, here we've got a cranium. The ethmoid, pull the face off. There's the ethmoid between the eyes there. This connects directly back. That's the yellow circuit, the center of the third eye, directly up and a bit back from that in the center of the brain. Also where the two halves of the brain connect through the third eye, the yellow energies. What feeds that in the pelvis, the clitoris and the penis. So if no one's seen that before, that's a clitoris. It's a bit big, and that fits in the pelvis like this. And this, the erectile tissue of the clitoris and the erectile tissue of the penis are the sexual potency that rises up through the yellow circuit organs. I'm not going to go into depth, but we will connect to the clitoris there. The vagina comes through the middle there. The penis does the same thing. It comes in here and splits and runs down these legs to the sit bones. So it's all into this urogenital diaphragm along these, and then obviously the penis comes forward. But the clitoris and penis are the sexual potency that transforms and rises up through the yellow energies. The tongue is to do with the yellow energies, the septum, the nose, the ethmoid in the middle, and the third eye. And at the back of the sacrum, the coccyx here, you can feel when we're working, we'll feel this all breathing in, breathing out, pulling together. And the coccyx will be breathing, connecting to the third eye. The clitoris and penis, or the erectile tissue of the penis, will be rising, connecting through the tongue, through the ethmoid, through the roof mouth, through the septum to the ethmoid. And as it opens into this higher part of the face, you get much deeper breath in the lungs, because this is more the abdomen. As I showed you before, this area is the lungs. So as you start getting that movement, there may be a shortening top to bottom through the center line, but it's opening. You get the lungs at the side opening and expanding, so it really gives a deeper breath through the whole maxillary, and you get deeper breath in your lungs. It gets the ethmoid coming to life, bright light, the third eye coming to light. How far we get through that, I don't know. If you're able to experience that, I don't know. All right, that's it. We're going to do that. I don't know why. I don't know. I can't even remember his name. I'm feeling like some kind of actor. I feel like I'm channeling an actor at the minute, a comedian, because I keep on wanting to say funny things. I keep stopping myself. All right, okay. Put your hand up if you are now completely confused. No one put their hand up. Either people are scared or amazing. I guess everyone's amazing. No one's put their hand up. I know that would have confused me if I didn't know anything about it. All right. We're going to start. We're going to embrace our own. Now this shortening and lengthening, I can't remember. No, it wasn't Tommy Cooper. I can't remember being taught this in craniosacral therapy. I can only remember this. He did this film. What was the film he did? He was a dentist in it. Ricky Gervais. For some reason, I keep on wanting to tell a joke like Ricky Gervais for some reason. I've been watching too much internet, obviously. I can remember being taught the expansion and the opening and closing sideways of the bones. I cannot remember from my cranial training this top to bottom shortening on the in-breath and lengthening on the out-breath. But it is obviously part of it. But that is so strong in holographic breathing. You can really feel everything, all the muscles are tightening to produce the breath. Let me take this much deeper breath, and you feel the vertebrae all adjusting and coming closer. And it's really nice lengthening on the out-breath. Now, if that feels just unnatural to you, just don't do the spine bit. I know some people have a problem with that. And this is all unfolding in its own way. I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm right. Because I brought it through doesn't mean that I'm right. You can do it in your own way and have your own experience that is right for you. But it's handy to at least try what I've discovered and say. All right, let's do it. So I'm going to turn my sound up by 1 because I get quieter in the meditations. And off we go. Closing your eyes. And gently dropping into the holographic breathing. I'm just going to make sure that I've done it so that people can't unmute themselves. Okay. Okay, gently dropping into the holographic breathing. Notice how easy it comes. Once you've learnt it, it's just like riding a bike. It's like a memory has ignited and there's that breath and movement there. Now, if you're new and the first time you were sitting up, you can lie down now if you wish, because you're already doing it. But it's quite good to be sitting if you want to. Whatever you feel most comfortable with, do that. On the in-breath, the jaw gently opening. On the out-breath, the jaw gently closing. The tongue is on the roof of the mouth all of the time. The lips are closed all of the time. Notice what the movement and quality feels like in the jaw. Notice it opening and widening on the in-breath. It widens on the in-breath, narrows on the out-breath. It relates to the lower back of the cranium. They both open and widen. Narrow on the out-breath, and also to the sit bones. Notice there's this deep, rich, dark energy to the jaw. This is the deep earth energies. One of the energy circuits, the back of the jaw, the lower back of the cranium, the sit bones, heels of the hands, connects this deep earth energy. You come forwards in the jaw, forwards in the cranium, forwards in the pelvis. You'll feel everything warming up, and you'll start feeling your ovaries, testes, the heart. Connects to the middle of the roof of the mouth and the nasal passageways and the lower front of the cranium. Fire circuit. Becoming aware of the tongue. Back of the tongue is more to do with this deep earth energies, A bit further forward you have this fire energies, but the whole tongue as a whole more relates to the yellow energies, which we're going to work with. Being aware of your tongue, notice it's like suckling a sweet or a nipple. Holographic breathing is like this subtle form of suckling, and notice you may start passing out when you become aware of the tongue, because it connects to the brain and it connects to the breathing motion of the brain. And if you allow the energies to move through the brain and you allow the brain to breathe, you won't pass out anymore. It's that unconsciousness of connecting to the breathing motion and energies of the brain from the tongue that knocks people out. But once you allow that to be conscious, you'll be more awake. Notice this very different energy when you become aware of the tongue. You can feel the heart, the lungs, the organs, the digestive tract, the genitalia, the anus, the whole vagus nerve. The tongue works through the whole vagus nerve and brain. And as the diaphragm drops, the tongue subtly drops back and down very slightly. The roof of the mouth drops and opens with it. Breathing out. The tongue is relaxing, the muscles of the tongue are relaxing. The roof of the mouth rises. Imagine the roof of the mouth is just made of soft membranes rather than bone. And it's fully capable of dropping and opening like a diaphragm, rising and doming like a diaphragm. Notice you've got much more amplitude than the first time you've done it. Just working with it has given you a higher dome and a flatter opening. As you've been working in it, it's become more malleable. Notice the tongue has become more softer and agile, like working with a muscle, becoming to understand a muscle. Clears all the toxins out of the tongue. So it connects the diaphragm, but if you drop down to the pelvic floor, especially the back of the pelvic floor, inside the sacrum at the back, there's this pull between the sacrum and the roof of the mouth, or the pelvic floor inside the sacrum and around the sacrum. Pull together on the in-breath. Notice this gives you a base to work from. The diaphragm didn't really give you a base. As they pull together, the whole body opens. They drift apart. Notice this gives you an area to anchor the tongue. The muscles from the tongue connect through the whole esophagus, trachea, diaphragm, and then through the muscles of the back, then down into the muscles of the pelvic floor. So there's this unbroken connection from the pelvic floor to the tongue. And on the in-breath, as everything, all the muscles are just gently tightening. Everything is pulled together. The roof of the mouth drops. Everything opens. Notice you have to slow you're breathing down. As soon as you become aware of the pelvic floor, you have to change your mode of breathing. You become aware of the shortening and lengthening through the body. It's important that the lungs open. As everything shortens, it's important to allow the lungs and abdomen to open. So there's a shortening, but that creates an opening. There's a lengthening, and that creates a narrowing. Notice you can feel a pull from the inside of your sacrum right up to the tongue and the roof of the mouth. They're pulling together on the out-breath, on the in-breath. They're drifting apart on the out-breath. And you can feel from the inside of the sacrum up to the tentorium, and across the brain. Breathing in, they're pulling together on the in-breath. Breathing out, they're drifting apart. You can let your experience of the pelvic floor open up to either side of the sacrum, this whole upside down dome in your pelvis. All of the diaphragms are flattening and widening, and as the pelvic floor is the other way up, it's lifting up because it's flattening. They're all flattening, but they're pulling together, like the top and bottom of an egg or a balloon pulling together. Everything widens. Breathing out, everything lengthens and narrows. You have to slow your breath down, and you have to allow it to go through the brain, because as soon as you start breathing like this, every single brain cell, opening and shortening on the in-breath, lengthening and narrowing on the out-breath. Notice, once you connect to the whole breath, all of your cells start to breathe. This is how cells breathe, and this is why people pass out, the unconsciousness before the brain starts to breathe. Allow the brain to breathe. Allow the brain cells to breathe. And then start waiting for a little bit at the end of the out-breath, and notice all of the diaphragms dome further as you're waiting. Your whole body starts lengthening, the spine relaxes and lengthens. So as you wait, if you wait on the out-breath, it doesn't have to be every time, but if you wait every now and again, you'll just keep getting longer and narrower and longer and narrower with each breath as you move into the physicality of the out-breath. You rest at the end of the out-breath. You feel your whole spine lengthening. You feel the sacrum as rocked back. You feel the roof of the mouth and the tentorium doming. Everything getting longer and narrower. And as you wait, you may feel pulses through your body. You may feel bones adjusting. You may feel the energy from the pelvic floor releasing as the kundalini up through the body. Notice it feels nice to wait for a while in the out-breath. It's as if Once you're breathing in this way, it's as if you don't need oxygen anymore. You get a really nice dome through the brain, through the roof of the mouth. And then stopping, waiting at the end of the out-breath and just breathing in and out for a little bit. And then start waiting at the end of the in-breath. Notice you start shortening, all the diaphragms are flattening and widening, your whole body is flattening and widening. And you get the Kundalini releasing on the in-breath, and you get all of the bones of the cranium releasing into the in-breath. And the whole spine, you may feel a condensing through your spine. Notice it feels nice to hang out in that space at the end of the out-breath. And feel your whole cranium expanding to the sides, shortening top to bottom. And then just breathing in and out with this shortening and widening, lengthening and narrowing. And then from the whole pelvic floor and the front of the pelvic floor, start feeling your clitoris dropping back along the sides of the pelvis, right back to the sit bones. And for the men, the erectile tissue of the penis, you've got the penis coming out, the front bit comes into the urogenital diaphragm, comes back to where the urethra goes in and divides, and the legs of it carry on back towards the sit bones. So feeling how the clitoris and penis are part of the pelvic floor, and how an energy starts releasing through them, connects to the front of the diaphragm, to the roof of the mouth. As the roof of the mouth is dropping, pulling down the septum, and between the eyes you have the ethmoid. Allowing it to go right through the center of your face up into the ethmoid. So you get a pull from the penis and clitoris right up into the ethmoid on the in-breath. And then a lengthening and narrowing away from the clitoris and penis and ethmoid on the out-breath. You feel the ethmoid lighting up, and you'll feel the same in the center of your brain. The third eye starts to ignite. And as connects right up between the eyes, the lungs of the face, these big maxillary sinuses open, the lungs open. They drift apart, the lungs close, the maxillary closes, the ethmoid, clitoris and penis drift apart. Slow, long breathing as if you no longer need oxygen. And you can wait whenever you wish at the end of the out-breath, at the lengthening. You may feel a flashing in your brain as you wait in the still points between the breaths. Notice how you get a flashing through your eyes, through your brain, as you wait in the spaces between the breath, in the still points. You can also wait on the in-breath and you start widening and shortening as you become more aware of the in-breath and the still point in the in-breath. If you keep stopping at the end of the in-breath, you'll get wider and shorter, and the cranium will get wider and shorter, and the neck and spine will get wider and shorter. This will flex and exercise all of the bones of the face and cranium and pelvis. And if you be aware of the back of the pelvis and the coccyx are the yellow energies in the back of the pelvis, and these release directly up to the third eye and then forwards from the third eye into the ethmoid. I think just dropping away from the movement for a while and just breathing gently, feeling that circle of energy. The clitoris and penis, erectile tissue of the penis, the clitoris, the coccyx, up to the third eye, forwards into the ethmoid, the nose, the septum, the tongue. It's the front of the roof of the mouth and the very back of the roof of the mouth. The palatine bones go from the back of the roof of the mouth right up the back of the sinuses and connect to the ethmoid at the top. Got the yellow energy circuit. You can just breathe gently and let the energy, the yellow energy circuits, breathe. Just going to a softer breath, no longer working so much with the lengthening and shortening. More moving into just an energy level. We'll connect the vertical division through the whole brain, where the two hemispheres of the brain connect in the middle. This is the third eye. Or the two hemispheres of the cerebrum, they're connected. Can't remember the names, but they're connected in three places. The dot between the two halves of the thalamus, the thorax above the thalamus joins the two halves, and the something just above that, the big, lots of neurons passing backwards and forwards, I've forgotten the name. But this make up the surrounds of the third eye, and these connections are the yellow energy circuit for the third eye. You can feel the two halves of the brain opening and closing with the breath and stretching through their connections in the middle. This is the yellow energy. It connects to the clitoris and penis, connects to the ethmoid, the septum, the tongue. Yellow energies are all the connective tissues through the whole body. Notice you may have a whole new experience of your tongue. It might have got much softer, much bigger. May have more saliva. Just gently breathing with the holographic breathing and letting that circuit energize. Notice the energies going through the tongue, through the nose, back of the sinuses, the ethmoid. All of the diaphragms, it connects to all of the diaphragms. The holographic breathing just going in its own way in the background. Relates a lot to the stomach, the spleen, the trachea, the esophagus. Allowing this area to release in the throat, the front of the throat, the trachea and esophagus. You might notice as you relax that, the energies from the clitoris and penis rise through that and up through the face. Keep letting that go through the throat. The throat opens the channels for the higher beings. You might notice as that opens, you start channeling. This whole energy has started dropping into the group, this spiritual energy. There are connections to the higher self, the divine realms. As the throat opens, the brain opens. Notice the connection between the throat and the brain. And then this channel. There's something, higher energy communication coming through. Allowing yourself to open to the spiritual dimension of holographic breathing, the connection to the divine beings, the gods, creator, creators, divine energies. Allow that in. Allow yourself to be touched by God. Allow the energies from the coccyx right up through the spine, right through the third eye. Allow that to connect through the crown chakra and up into the higher self, into the divine realms. So you have a connection from the clitoris and penis, from the coccyx, through your whole body, through the spine, through the face, through the ethmoid, through the third eye, through the crown chakra, and up into the beyond, into the unknown, the unknowable. But just because it's unknowable doesn't mean you can't receive the energies of it, or we can't comprehend it, but you can experience those divine energies talking back. And as your sexual potency rises through the yellow circuit, through the brain, into the higher self, those energies start responding back. You feed them with the transformed sexual potency. This is like Tantra or Kundalini, love-making with God. That sexual potency transforms through your body and then rises and touches the divine and moves into the divine as an energy. So an energy from you is rising into the divine. And this is an invitation for the divine to reciprocate. Allow that communication. It will change your brain. It will change the structures in your brain. It will release through the brain. It will release through the body. And it will bring an unknown, something you can't do for yourself. The connection with the divine aids you to do the impossible and be the impossible and attain the impossible, that you cannot do as an individual. And to connect with the divine, you have to let go of your individual matrix, and you become part of something bigger. You become part of the divine. You are your body, but you're also the higher self. You become the bigger picture. You are God. Your body is the lower part of God, and rather than just being in the lower part of your body or the lower part of God, allow yourself to be that, to be the creators, to be part of the creators. You have to let go of your desires for control. You have to give over the controls. And however hard you fought for them, and your identity, you have to let go of this, and you become part of God. You become a warrior for God, or part of God, or part of the Creator. And below you, the earth, you're connected the other way to the divine energies of the earth, and the earth energies, and the earth meridians. It's all divine. The earth is divine. You are divine. The higher self is divine. You kept yourself separate in a separate identity and matrix. Let go of that matrix. Time has come to let go of that matrix. You can get it back at the end of the meditation, but for the time being, let go. Unravel. Relax and release into the unknown. Relax the back of your neck. Relax the back of your head. And allow yourself to be touched and become part of the Creator or creators and the universe and the earth, gently breathing with holographic breathing. Allow yourself to become whole. Allow yourself to become healed. The only thing that is in the way of healing is your adhesion to the intellect and your individuality. Let go of that, become part of the Creator, and you are automatically healed and healing. You are no longer the unit you were before. You are becoming whole, healed, whole, part of God. And breathe. A lot going on in people's solar plexus. Let your solar plexus go. And we're going to come back in about a minute. You can collect your intellect on the way out, but just allowing yourself to relax down into a nice, soft space. Being aware of the back of your head, your heels, your sit bones, heels of your hands. Slowly coming back to yourself. Let your neck relax. And sending a thank you to the earth. A thank you to the higher self. A thank you to the beneficial energies, the higher self, divine energies, the Creator, whatever you connected with. And thanking yourself for letting go of the reins and allowing the experience. And letting the energies go off for love and healing to the earth. Love and healing to the higher self, beneficial energies, the Creator. And allowing yourself to be part of that, allowing yourself to be loved and healed. And letting the energies go out to all sentient beings for love and healing. And you are a sentient being, allowing yourself to be loved and healed. And when you feel ready, gently allowing yourself to come back. So we had quite a few different levels there. We had this physical motion going on. Then we included the physical motion, but included the energies of the yellow energy circuit, which is one of the circuits we're working with in the advanced webinars. And then we just dropped into the energy of that and just let this movement of the breath go. It gets more subtle each time you move on. And then it doesn't always come in, but it came in the spiritual energies and the divine connection. So for me, this is all part of our holographic unfolding and holographic being, where all of these different reflections inside of ourselves and different levels of different reflections, and how they're mirrored in us, how they're mirrored in the earth, how they're mirrored in the higher self. And we are part of that whole cosmic spiritual experience, and we pull ourselves into this body and into this individuality and wonder why we're ill I'm happy. And you can experience with holographic breathing, I guess with anything really, but it seems for me, for myself, the best way to connect to these, well, I just do holographic breathing all the time, and I'm aware of these higher energies traveling through me all the time. I'm aware of the Kundalini releasing through me all of the time. I drop into this more physical motion of the breath to get a much more physical aspect. So we spent a lot of time. That may have been quite hard work for people doing that, especially the shortening and lengthening. It takes a while to get used to that. But it does give you an aspect of the breath that isn't available with our normal breathing. Our normal breathing, you can't connect to that lengthening and shortening. Holographic breathing is part of holographic breathing. You get a whole breath. So holographic breathing opens you to a whole myriad of energies, energy circuits. It gives you a connection to a whole breath. It gives you a connection to the earth. It gives you a connection to the higher self. So it is all there. It is all available. If you've come for the first time, I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you wish to give something back, there will be a video. You can give me some money if you want. You can donate. There's a donation button. Some people donate. I give a shed load of stuff away for free, and some people think, well, I'd like to give something back, and they donate. Some people come every Sunday and they pay. They give something back for their webinars, and I'm deeply grateful to these people. They've become like a family, and they are what's progressing this forward, because that means I can make a living out of this and can just give happily. And I can understand people may not want to contribute or go on to the advanced webinars or give money towards anything. But if you feel you want to contribute and don't have much money or whatever, you can just put the video on your Facebook wall or whatever, or share that with people that you know. If you enjoyed it, your friends might enjoy it. I would dearly love to hear back from cranial sacral therapists. I'll put the video out on both of those cranial sacral groups on Facebook, and I'd really like it if people put their experiences on it, because there's not time for us to go into it in depth here, but it would be interesting to find out how people experience that and if they feel it the same as the dynamics of cranial sacral therapy. And I think anyone can join those groups. I don't think you particularly have to be a cranial sacral therapist, so you can go on those groups and comment and things as well. Wave your hands if you enjoyed yourself. Everyone on this page. Let me go to the other pages. Let me just go through. Yeah, everyone waving. Look at that. Yeah, that's what I like to see. All you people with your screens off, make a little yellow hand on it. I think you can make a yellow hand even if your screen's off. So, brilliant. Lots of yellow thumbs up. Great, wonderful. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. From my side, I got to tell you, it is, I mean, I may be stuffed up for a couple of days afterwards and not able to do much. I kind of spend my time putting the videos and the recording on. Something very strong happens with teaching this. It's not easy to do much for a couple of days after, but I am so honoured and grateful for being able to work with you in this way. Because, like, for instance, I don't know if people, wave your hand if you felt the spiritual energies at the end. Most people, well, the advanced people did anyway. That doesn't come through like that in my normal life. You know, that is kind of reserved. It does come through, but not in that potency as a channel. And maybe I'm just feeling it stronger and that's helping other people feel it. But, you know, to be able to feel that, and as I'm teaching it, I just feel levitated as I'm teaching and talking. It's probably why I start telling jokes, because I feel happy when I'm teaching it. So excuse me if my jokes are no good, but it's just because I start feeling good when I'm teaching. The energies come to me, you know, maybe an hour beforehand. Oh, well, that's good. I get worried, how am I going to teach this? And they come in, I think, oh, it doesn't matter. I just let this energy come through and everything goes out the window. So you can be part of this to whatever level you like. There's definitely something, if you want to come each Sunday, or say, you know, I run 4 webinar series. We finish the brain one. I tell you, you can buy that. There's 4 webinar recordings, and definitely the most potent webinars we've ever run were those 4 webinars. Just blew me apart, blew everyone in the group apart. They're really strong. You can buy the recordings. You can join the yellow energies. We were working with the yellow energies. We've got another yellow energies next week. We'll be working with those. We'll be including the Kundalini, much stronger, but we'll be including the spleen, which governs the Kundalini. So that really gives a strong release through the Kundalini. So you'll get a newsletter in a couple of days that will include that. And I'm going to start a 4 webinar series where we're going to work with just the tongue, the different energies of the tongue, the different dynamics of the tongue. Because to start off with, people's tongues are quite tense, but when we work with the tongue, it gets softer and bigger, and then as it gets to the point, it just completely relaxes and goes across the whole roof of the mouth, and it connects all of the different energy systems through the tongue and the roof of the mouth. And this natural movement is just there much more strongly and naturally, because it's just the whole tongue is adhered to the whole roof of the mouth. And you don't have to think about it, it's just going on. All right, I'm going to turn all your voices on and everyone to saying goodbye and thank you to everyone. And make sure you get my email, my newsletter in a couple of days with the recordings. If you don't, email me or look in your spam. So everyone putting your microphones on. I've got to put my headphones on. And everyone saying thank you and goodbye to everyone. I just feel all this lovely energy. Yeah, keep on saying goodbye to everyone, and yeah, give love hearts to everyone and spread the love. All right, namaste everyone. Have a good night. Don't feel shy. You can email me if you want to share anything or ask a question. Definitely cranial workers, I'd like to find out if you found any similarities between that and cranial work. If it answered any questions, if you see the parallels, I would like to hear that. All right, okay, we are cooked. Yeah, another big goodbye from everyone. Good. Come again. I'm going to do another one. I think in 3 or 4 weeks we'll have another free webinar. Come to, you know, pay some money. Come to the Sunday ones. They're not expensive. For 4 webinars, it's just £29. It's nothing. Well, it's not nothing, but it's not expensive. All right. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now.